Good morning. I understand that still some people think Donald Trump is better for the economy. I gotta ask, why? Because this is what I know about the economy. The economy hasn't been great for lower and middle class workers. It just hasn't. When I was in my business, I watched the economy slip to 57% of what it was in 2007. We went back to 1976 prices. And sure, the percentage of people working and the percentage of folks earning a living, that's increased. And their salaries are increased. But they're not back to pre-2007, 2008 levels. What is up is income inequality. What is up is a weakening of a lot of our institutions that would actually help labor. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. You need a strong administrative state. You need bipartisan legislation to finally give the American worker the dollars they need in a minimum wage. Forget tipping. I don't think that folks should be tipped. They're professionals. They should get a minimum wage of $15 to $20 an hour. Everyone paid into FICA. There was no cap on income. We didn't have enough money for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and probably child care. We'd have a lot of bucks. Income inequality is worse in America than anywhere else. And I don't think economists take that into account, and they should. Because as the upper classes are getting wealthier, the middle classes and the lower classes are hovering around the bottom. And it's a large bottom. We can't afford housing. In other countries like France, they've got 200,000 more units per 100,000 people than we have. We need more housing, and we need more affordable housing, and we need better wages. And all that comes from legislation. And after legislation comes regulation of the corporations. They're now writing all of our laws. If it were up to Trump, you wouldn't have seasoned professionals looking at the NLRB, the NIH, the land management folks, coal cleanup folks. No, you'd have political hacks, people who would just know how to drill, baby, drill. That's not what we want. We want to be able to take what we've got now and build on it. We've got more unions than we've ever had. We'd like to use those unions, and we'd like to put them in more industries. It's a given, as far as I'm concerned, that the income at the top is making it difficult for stakeholders to make a living. The folks in their 40s and 50s and 60s who would be earning their most income at this point, they're not even in the workforce, some of them. And if you're a really good, decent worker, like one of my friend's kids, he stopped an insurance company from denying claims. Well, they fired him. He can't get a job. It's now almost a year. Because corporations are unaccountable. Imagine you take away the folks who are looking at coal closures, and they're looking at the plants for cleanup, and now you put a political guy in there, he's not going to clean up that coal. The folks are going to suffer. According to Bill Gates, we have the technology now to start phasing out fossil fuels. And that's what should happen. You build parallel societies. As you're phasing out fossil fuels, you're increasing the number of entrepreneurs who are going into new industries. Right now, Bill Gates has 130 corporations that he's funding in geothermal, in hydrogen, in nuclear, fusion, and fission. He's looking at third-generation nuclear power plants. I certainly prefer that to retrofitting any of the old plants. They're dangerous. A lot of them have built-on fault lines. We can do better. There isn't an operating fourth-generation nuclear power plant in the world. China is just doing it now. So we don't really know what will be the outcome of these plants, but it's worth it to invest the money. There's cheap solar, there's cheap wind, and there are ways to hook up decommissioned coal plants to a new electric grid. It's a given. We're going to need folks to bury power lines. It's a given. We need more labor in food processing plants because those plants are filthy, and we're not even surviving eating the food that's being produced. McDonald's has an E. coli problem. Boar's had a listeria problem, and we're talking millions of pounds of meat and poultry being destroyed. So you're going to tell me that those plants are operating at full capacity and they're doing what's right? They can't be if there's vermin on the floor. I never was at a plant that was not well maintained. I remember when I was at Ford Motor Company in 1976 through 1979, my mission was to clean up the dirt in the paint. And that was no joke. We couldn't sell cars. And we went to a totally new system with electrolysis, with phosphate undercoats. We did it in 3 years. When the Bayer system said they wanted clean, they didn't want clean to the naked eye. They wanted clean on a microscopic level. We did it. We've abused so many people for so long. It's no wonder that they don't realize that the economy is good. And it is, folks. But we can do better. And we have the tools, and we have the regulators. We just need the will, which is all we ever needed, was the will.